Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trading Capital's daily live stream of the market open. So we have a little bit of economic data coming out in about 3 minutes. We have the CPI. Now, some of the expectations, consensus is around 6%. If it comes in higher than 6%, I believe the markets will sell. If it comes in line, I think the markets will just kind of maybe float, do a little bit of a grind higher. But the markets are off of the lows already. So perhaps money flow knows that we're getting a soft number. Biden did say we're likely to get a soft number, and he's happy with the progression of inflation. But consensus is 6. Anything higher, I think, spikes yield, spikes dollar, negative. Anything lower could get a ripping rally. There are some resistance levels up ahead, but right now the markets are trading up higher on this session. 2-year yield is up over 6.4% today. Long end yields are lagging. But basically, we're just going to wait for the CPI reaction. We'll take you through the action, and then we'll basically just cue Bloomberg in after while we work on some tradable levels before the market opens. But should be some decent fireworks. Should be some decent fireworks. We have 2 minutes to go. Month over month is expecting 0.4. Year over year is expecting a consensus of 6. So we will see. The most accurate bank at predicting CPI results has been TD, and their forecast is 6.1, so it's actually 0.1% higher than market expectations. But this is where we really get to see, what is the Fed made of? Is the Fed going to be stuck between basically causing more systemic collapses, or will they really focus on their mandate of inflation? Time will tell, but we have about 1 minute till impact. 1 minute till impact. The spiders are coming down a little bit. But markets have gapped up this morning. Oil right now is on the verge of a technical breakdown. Just wait for the reaction. Three. Oh, ooh, the first move's the wrong one, they say. They say the first move's the wrong one. Yields aren't moving. Oh, short-term yields are spiking. Short-term yield. 6% in line, in line, in line. Year over year, 6%. It has spiked the short-term yields. They say the first move's the wrong one. Will we get a Core CPI is higher than expected. 0.5% core CPI. Month over month, 0.4. Year over year, in line, 6%. So it's kind of almost a nothing, but it has spiked the short-term yields, and markets are rallying right now. One of the things I'm watching as a trader, obviously we're seeing the S&P rally, is this US 2-year yield. Bitcoin is spiking. Everything's rallying up here. So the 2-year yield is what I'm really concerned about. This is ultimately going to be the big move. Remember how we had that massive collapse? Look at this reversion. And there is a gap fill at 4.5. So if this recaptures the 4.5 level, then it's showing that the Fed is not pausing and still likely to hike. But markets are ripping higher at this point in time. So the spiders are up nicely. Bitcoin's pushing 25,000. Gold is pushing up. Everything is pushing up. Apple's pushing up. Nvidia. Coin. Dixie's softening. Yields are still trying to push up but slowing down as we speak. Long end yields didn't react, so it's really just the short end of the curve, which is what is Fed induced and controlled. Dixie's falling sharply. But we will see. This might be a buy the rumor, force people to jump in intraday, and then they sell the news. So let's just be cautious when we trade today. But the markets are in a little bit of a rally mode here, specifically risk assets like coin, Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is looking exceptionally strong right now. It is getting a huge pop. It is getting a huge pop, trading over 25,000. S&P's up about 1%. QQQ's tech is up also. So basically, we're kind of flat on the session because the market was actually up beforehand, and we were actually trading right around this area on the SPY. So it's kind of a nothing burger, which means that the market has priced in the right consensus. And honestly, if the market isn't ripping higher to the upside, it actually makes it more vulnerable to a sell-off. And again, 6% inflation is still technically, in my mind, not the most bullish thing. But some of these stocks are ripping. The regional banks are moving. FRC, First Republic Bank, has been slaughtered, and it's up over 60-70% now. So we are still seeing these markets rallying. Take a look at this bank. FRC. FRC is just ripping. Look at this move off of the lows. It's a massive move. Let's take a look at the Qs. Let's take a look at the Russell. IWM. IWM is still a big leader in my mind because it's been the weakest, dragging this market down off of a cliff. Let's take a look at gold. Gold is just really, so it's really a nothing burger at this point in time. But it doesn't mean it can't change. Overall, my consensus is that markets are trying to find any excuse to rally, and again, 6% in my mind is still not a good enough excuse to rally, but Bitcoin's taken as excuse. Obviously, we've had a Bitcoin target around 26,000, so that could still potentially move higher, but Bitcoin's hitting that double top resistance zone, and we'll see if the spiders have to push up or if they just trade sideways. Now, there will be some trade setups based off of this, so we'll just go off the mic for a little bit, work on some numbers, finish our coffees, get settled into this reaction, and then we'll see by the time the market opens where we shape up. Gold and silver are currently down. Bitcoin's the one that's surging higher at this point in time. But let's just be mindful that the 2-year yield is up over 8% as we speak. So that's a big move in the treasury market. And once again, if we actually look at the 2-year yield, this ripped a whole bunch of short traders' faces off once again. So people who were buying, going long up here, got ripped because it collapsed, and now people who were going short also got their faces ripped off. Just shows you how the market works. And right now the spiders are coming down. So the spiders are coming down. So we'll see. So far we're negative. Bitcoin has reversed off the highs, putting in a potential hourly topping tail. We have still 24 minutes until that transpires. The dollar's actually had a nice little boost, so the dollar's putting in an hourly bottoming tail. Look at that nice little reversal in the dollar. Now the question is, can it clear these high pivots over here? If we can get a close above that, then we can form a new base to move higher. It's the big level I'm watching on the dollar. Alright, on that note, I'm going to go off the mic for a little bit, and we will jump back on momentarily when the markets resume their opening.
Program, and they have to deal with inflation. If it doesn't work, then monetary policy gets drawn into the process of supporting the financial system. Our view is that ultimately the ring fencing works and the Fed goes back to hiking interest rates. So I think our view would be that the markets understandably are in a very risk-off mode, but ultimately the Fed's going to end up having to fight inflation.
And this is the reason why you're in the camp of another 25 basis point rate hike next week. But I do wonder longer term whether the signs of stress have kind of gut-checked your sense of how much these long and variable lags have come to the fore and put a higher, or rather a lower cap on how high rates can go.
Well, I think that unquestionably this stress gas in the system now tightens financial conditions and is a warning about the lagged effects of monetary policy. It's actually been surprising how little impact the Fed's had up to now. They hiked at a very fast pace. Now we're seeing some effects, and perhaps an extreme effect, and so it does have to make you a little more cautious about how far the Fed needs to go.
Quickly,
No
I've got to
question
go to
about it.
Mike, but let's get out in front of Michael Gapin in the next hour with John Farrell. He's a good economist. I mean,
He is, I think
that's
so.
Good. But let's get the Harris Gapin view here. Did they hike too rapidly? Were you guys sitting over the last number of weeks going that the rate of change, the Newtonian calculus of all this dance is just a little bit off?
No, I don't think so.
You weren't sitting there. Okay.
I think that the original error was waiting too long to hike. The gradualism of Greenspan, the idea you hike early so you can hike slowly, wasn't carried out. And it wasn't
That's
just
what
the
I said.
Fed.
The shadow of Greenspan here is
The shadow
we
is
didn't do it.
that they didn't do it, Greenspan.
Okay.
as he said.
What we got to do is go to Michael McKee, who's diving into 47 pages of inflation data. Goods, you said, was 1%. Can you be joyous about a service disinflation?
No, unfortunately, services go up a little bit, 7.26%. But a lot of that, as we mentioned, is housing. Owner's equivalent rent up 0.7, same as it was last month. Rent of primary residence up 0.8. That's a tenth more than it was in the month of January. But also, we got a big boost in the lodging category for shelter. It's up 2.3%. That's more than double what it was
Elisa,
in
are we shocked by that?
the month
No, I don't think we are.
January. Airfares were up, but here's an interesting thing, and I'd be interested to see if Ethan would go so far as to extrapolate the way I'm trying to here. But if you're looking at where you might be seeing wage increases, we've talked about leisure and hospitality a lot. Food away from home up 0.6 for the second month in a row, and full-service meals up 0.6. That's a tenth higher than it was. So prices are going up at restaurants. Alcoholic beverage prices went down. I'm not sure if that's not went down, but tailed off in inflation. I'm not sure as Tom. Help with that.
But Mike, to that point, and Ethan, I'd love you to weigh in on this, because we have seen people willing to spend, and they're willing to spend on services, and that isn't diminishing. Does stress in the financial system really change that if people can get their deposits and everyone just goes on their way?
Well, if you can get past the panic moment here in the markets, which it is, you're back to an economy that's solid. It hasn't threatened a recession yet. As Mike pointed out, there's a lot of inflation in areas where labor costs are important. You can't fix your inflation problem just by getting an improvement in supply chains. You need to get the service side under control. You need a normal labor market, and we don't have a normal labor market.
Just quickly, I'd love your sense. Vincent Reinhart was on, and he said that if this Federal Reserve comes out and doesn't hike rates because of potential financial system stress, it is basically saying that what they did on Sunday was not effective, that program was not sufficient to stave off any distress. Do you agree? I mean, do you think that if they do not raise 25 basis points, that will be a policy error, given the data we've seen?
I would never contradict Vince. He and I were grad students together. No, I think that I think that it depends on how stressed the markets are. If the markets are in serious distress, pausing is okay. If they're improving a lot and the ring fencing is working, then you can start to wonder whether the Fed has confidence in its ring fencing. So I think that's a legitimate concern.
You and Vincent Reinhart were the laureate Ned Phelps.
Yeah.
His later career is dynamism. Do we risk losing our dynamism because of this crisis, and particularly the Silicon Valley crisis?
Well, I think that there's been the COVID crisis itself has taken some of the mojo out of the economy. I think that the tech sector, to some degree, is overexpanded. I think this is a temporary thing for tech. Tech is still going to be a driver of growth going forward.
Don't be a stranger.
All right.
Bring Mr. Moynihan with you next time. Dr. Harris is with the Bank of America. Lisa, I don't know what to make of the inflation report. I mean, we've got some market reaction, but there it is.
To me, what I make of it is the lack of market reaction. I thought that if it came out even slightly higher, people would reassess, a little bit on the margins, but not much.
This is Bloomberg. Stay with us.
Keeping you up to date with news from around the world with the first.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the daily live stream of the Market Open. So obviously with CPI coming in line with market expectations, the hindrance in this market that I think we may see is the fact that core CPI actually elevated. So right now markets are taking it well, the S&P is up, but realistically if you think about it, the markets haven't really moved anywhere in terms of a meaningful move. You had your little bit of a drop, you had your pop, but basically your high pivot, you're still stuck at that high pivot and you're at some key resistance. Now, the big thing that I'm watching is the yields still. The yields have softened and taken a little bit of a breather, and the dollar is still remaining weak. Bitcoin had a big pop, so we're going to be having some Bitcoin short plays this morning. I'm looking at coin, anything above the 6602 level. It did pierce that level and hit a high of around 6667. So if I pull up some of these charts, you can see coin is on the radar for a short trade. Basically anything above this 6602 level, I will look to potentially accumulate a short. And then I'm also looking at MARA, M-A-R-A. That has had a massive move to the upside, so we're looking at that. I do have some levels on Bank of America. So BAC is ripping up very, very high right now. Basically, the level I like on Bank of America would have to be a pierce of 31. A pierce of 31 to short. The spiders are trying to move up right now. Schwab is also another one on the radar. It is having a massive move to the upside. Schwab, I would have to wait until 61, basically, to get interested in that play. But other than that, those are the radars. So Schwab, Bank of America, Coin, and MARA. And then we also have Bitcoin popping. So BITI, I also have that on the radar. Full disclosure, I did do some buy orders on BITI with my members around 22.94. So I did start accumulating a short on Bitcoin at 22.94. But we'll just have to see where these markets open. There might be a little bit of a chance we pop up on the SPY all the way to this 392.90, but there should be some decent resistance at that point in time. Another trend line I'm watching is basically this simple trend line over here. You can see it connects your major pivots, your breakdown, your other breakdown, but this is your higher low. So the big question is, can we make a higher high in this trend to get above this key zone over here? So that's kind of my expectations, what I'm watching. Bitcoin did pierce the 26,000 level. The high was actually 26,003. So I have put in this potential cycle that Bitcoin has now met some great near-term resistance. So I'm actually expecting Bitcoin to move lower in the coming sessions. Maybe it still holds up really well over the next couple sessions, but I am expecting Bitcoin to soften in price. We're about 7 minutes till the open. Markets are trading up, so we just have to respect that at this moment in time. And then we'll see what type of action we get. But markets are pushing, trying to push up. The dollar's also trying to push up. But we should have a lot of potential opportunities here today. I'm just going to move everything back to the regular trading session for myself. And the banks are getting a nice lift this morning. So that's a short-term positive for the markets. Maybe that potential contagion risk has been contained, but it's really too early to say. Gold has pulled off the highs a little bit, still trading at 1906. Tesla's up as well. The futures are currently up. S&P's up over 1, Nasdaq up over 1, Russell's up over 2.96% in the futures market. Big rally in the Russell. In terms of some near-term resistance on the Russell, basically there is a potentiality that we can get all the way back up to this gap fill. If we were, that is also an index short opportunity. You will have this gap fill with the 200 daily moving average. So we'll see if we can get a potential rally to that level. That's a big level for the Russell. We'll keep a look on the S&P 500 here. Dollar's trying to perk up just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. Bitcoin Bitcoin might be putting in an hourly topping tail. It's too early to tell. It did put in a 20-minute reversal signal on a decent amount of volume. Now we're waiting for the half-hour candle to close in 4 minutes. So far it does have one. It does have a topping tail, but you can see it pulled right off of that 26,000 Pierce level. And just keep in mind that even if the stock market rallies, it doesn't necessarily mean Bitcoin's going to rally, because what we've seen over the past couple of sessions, the stock market's been taking a beating while Bitcoin has rallied tremendously. So it stands to suggest that now it might be the stock market's turn to rally a little bit more, and then Bitcoin maybe subsides and eases. But we'll just see if the divergence continues, because Bitcoin has been rallying when the stock market's falling. Now if the stock market rallies, maybe Bitcoin falls. There were too many people thinking that they were highly correlated, which they are. So we'll see if the yields start moving up higher, and we'll see if the markets have a little bit of a technical breakout here. But we have about 3 minutes till the market open. But we will be gapping up, and let's just see if we gap and crack. I'm going to switch this over to the regular trading session so we see the gaps. But it's going to be a big gap. And let me just be clear, if these markets lose this gap zone, that's going to be bearish. But spiders are still trading up a little bit now. So keep coin on the radar. Anything above 66. Yields are softening slightly. Markets are pulling off 7 cents from the high there. Dollar's starting to perk back up. So we have about 2 minutes till the open. Let's keep your head in the game. Let's get ready. So markets are set to open. Bitcoin's still under the 26,000 level. Yields are at 4.26 on the short end. Financials have had a nice boost to the upside. In terms of a level to short the XLF, 3370, 3375. Spiders are trying to push up some more now. Markets are open. Spiders are pushing. Spiders are pushing. Coinbase is coming down a little bit. Spiders are still trying to fight this level. We'll see what resistance we get. Coinbase is coming in sharper now. Apple's getting a boost. Coinbase is still on the radar. Spies are still popping up here. So coin for a short. Anything above that $66 level. We also have Mara, M-A-R-A, pushing up. It's a little bit of a thinner stock, but it doesn't mean it can't work. Look at coin go. Let's keep the spiders on the radar as well, because the spiders are trying to push up. Guys, I do like Mara. Anything above 780. Anything above 780, we can short MARA. Anything above 780. And again, this is a lighter volume stock, although it should be decent. Tesla's surging. Coinbase is pushing up. Let's keep the spiders on the radar. The spiders are seeing some weakness now. Spiders are under a little bit of pressure. Keep MARA on the radar. A little bit more of a push and we can short Mara. I'll let you know if I get filled. Spiders are still trying to push. Dollar's pushing. Alright, I'm taking a Mara short right here. I just shorted Mara. Started position 767. 767. 767. Short Mara. Dollar's pushing up, so this is why we're shorting. Look at this move down in Mara. Or Mara, tomato, tomato. Let's see what we get here. Coin is also on the radar, but it hasn't hit the level yet. The next add level will be a pierce of $8. And then about $8.40. Spiders are still rallying. The dollar's also trying to push up with yields, so just be mindful. The dollar pushing up with yields is not a good thing. Coin is also approaching, so keep coin on the radar. Pierce that 66 level, we can short coin. Spiders are pushing up, ignoring the dollar right now, for now. Mars pushed through our level slightly. Coin is still pushing through that level. Markets are trying to rip though. Let's check some bigger movers here. You have that FRC banks up. UAL is getting pummeled. I'd rather just wait. Let's look at MARA again. MARA. Still just hovering. UAL. UAL's coming down. Let me see if there's any levels I have on UAL. I'm watching Mara on my other screens. Bitcoin is getting a little bit of pressure. The only place I like UAL is basically retracing to this trend line. 43.30. This stock has a tendency to overshoot, so we'll just keep that on the radar. Spiders are coming in a little bit now. SPY. Look at that. We're starting to maybe gap and crack. We're in the money on our MARA, MARA, but I want more. I want more. Bitcoin's under a little bit of pressure. Look at the dollar go. The dollar's gonna go. Here we go. Can we get the infamous gap and crack in this market? But we're in the money nicely. We're already in the money a couple percent. Look at this drop coming in. Look at this Mara drop. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Spiders are under some pressure in the near term. Come on, Mara. Get your butt down there. Coins pulling off the highs for solar. Alright, let's see. Here we go. Here we go. Alright, I'm covering Mara right here. 732 covered. 732. Boom. Look at that win. Awesome. Boom. That is a whole 4.23%, 4.3, 33 cents. Wonderful, wonderful job. That's one winner in the books. Excellent. And I do think that we can reshort this if it goes higher, but let's just let it pierce that level now. We'll flip back to the spiders. Spiders got a little bit of sell side pressure, but now starting to resume its uptrend. Let's take a look at the Russell. Let's take a look at some of these other stocks that we have. BX has had a nice float up. MAC, MUFG, RF. We're seeing energy stocks catching a bounce, but oil's still remaining weak, which is really, really intriguing to me. So we're seeing Mara come down some more. Coin is still holding up. If coin pierces that 66, it is a short. It is a short on coin if it pierces that level. You know what? The UVXY is looking intriguing for a long. UVXY is looking intriguing. But let's just see if we can get some more upside in this market. Bitcoin's still under 26K. What else are we seeing here? Bank of America's off our level. Schwab. Let's take a look at that Schwab chart. We did have a level on that. Ooh, see how it hit our 61 level to a T? Oh, I wish I was paying attention. I apologize, guys. That was the level we gave pre-market, and it just friggin' hit that level to a T. Meta's ripping on the layoff announcements, trading above 190. Nvidia's pushing up. Keep coin on the radar because these markets are pushing up. Even though the dollar's also trying to catch a small bid, but still remaining weak. Still remaining weak. I will take a coin short if we pierce through this $66 level. Spiders are in full rally mode. Full rally mode on the SPY. Coin's almost at that level. Get ready on coin. Just pulling off of that level now. Meta just filled an important gap to the upside, so that's actually probably a short as well. Let's just see if we get another final push up on Meta. Bitcoin's trying to retest that 26K mark. It is right now. So far the markets are in rally mode. Meta's up 5.6%. That's a huge move on Meta. Huge move. Alright, I just took a Meta short, but this is with my swing trading team. I just took a Meta short. Let me just add my alert. Spiders are still acting resilient, so is the dollar. Coinbase is on the radar now for a short as well, so keep coin on the radar. That's on the radar. It is piercing that 66. I'm probably going to grab some here. I'll let you know when I'm filled. I'm not filled yet. I'm waiting for it to go a little bit higher. The spiders are still potentially trying to move up a little bit more. Alright, coins coming in. Let's check the spiders. They're still acting well. If the spiders hit this trend line around 391, maybe a 392 pierce, we could short the SPY. Apple's remaining resilient. Meta is obviously acting really, really well. Coins coming in now. Bitcoin seeing some sell side pressure. Dollar's still trying to perk up, so are the yields. Coin had a dollar pullback off of that level, so if you took that coin short, you're well in the money. Protect that trade. Look for at least $1. You've got it right now. You got $1.50, $1.60. Let's take a look at the small caps again. The Russell's leading this rally up 2%, 3% now. Big rally though. Big rally. Bitcoin's now back under the 26K mark. Right now Tesla's up 3, Mara's up 14%. Cheapers. Mara. If Mara pushes up a little bit more, I will short it again. Spiders are pushing near resistance, so we could actually short the spiders if it pushes up a little bit more. Coins coming in sharply now. Mara's coming in sharply. Spiders are seeing some distribution. Let's take a look at UAL. Let's see Schwab again. Schwab pulled off that 61 level terrifically. Spiders are still acting very resilient here. Let's take a look at the KRE. That's had a nice bounce up 9%. Wow. Short level on KRE would be this 50.71. Stocks are in rally mode though, but the question is, they've started out strong. Can they hold these gains and finish strong? That's the big question. So far, so good. I just shorted Lunar 100.2, 100.2. This is more of a swing trade short with my members, but it's still a decent level. Dollar's pushing up. Dollar is pushing up. So back to the cryptos. Mara's fallen sharply now. Spiders are under a little bit of near-term pressure. Spiders are under a little bit of near-term pressure. Dollar's trying to perk up some more. So definitely keep our eye on that dollar, because it's bouncing off of that 50 daily moving average. And it's looking powerful. And the way some of these cryptos are rolling over, like coin, it's certainly a risk. Nvidia's acting well, tech's acting well. Take a look at this rollover on coin. Starting to see some pressure. But Meta is having a massive day. Meta is having a massive day. Up 6.2. There actually might be a short on Meta. Let me just isolate down some levels here. But basically, we have to keep in mind it is options X. It is options X. See the spiders. Spiders are still trying to push up. They look like they want to hit that trend line. So we'll see if that's the spot that the spiders want to go. Dollar's still acting well. Markets really haven't reacted to this dollar. So I find that a little interesting. Definitely interesting. Right now we're seeing these markets acting very, very well. Bitcoin did put in a half an hour topping tail, but so far it's holding up really well. If Meta come back up to that 192 level, we could actually short Meta again. But let's just see. These markets are acting really well. Really, really well. Spiders are still acting resilient. I'm going to wait to pull off the Meta short. I want the spiders to hit this level, and then it should push Meta up a little bit more. So that's kind of my expectation and what I'm waiting for. But markets are acting very, very well. Oil's still under pressure. Energy stocks, nat gas is coming down. Hopefully that comes down a little bit more for us. One of our banks that we're shorting, MUFG, is one of the canary in the coal mine potentially. That's down nicely in a strong market, so that's interesting to see. It's not participating with the KRE bounce. So spiders are hitting that resistance now. Meta is a potential short, but it's pulled off of the highs. So that's obviously a little bit of a downside. Mara is still a potential short, but the spiders are trying to pierce that level. Spiders are almost at that resistance. I'm also looking at MARA again for a short. Dixie's popping up. Gold's seeing some resistance. Semis are acting very, very resilient. Take a look at the SOXS. Guys, I'm going along the SOXS here. 2084 I got filled. SOXS. Long the SOXS. Long the SOXS right here at 2084. You can still get in. Long the SOXS. Let's see what we get here. Let's play ball. I will add basically, oh, look at this pop. Look at this pop. We're in the money 14 cents already. Look at this pop. Come on. Come on. Keep pushing up. Keep pushing up. Yields are perking up some more. We're in the money nicely here. Let's go. 20 cents already. We're in the money. We need to see weakness in NVIDIA if this is a short trade, but NVIDIA has hit some near-term resistance. SMH is pulling off of the highs. So we're shorting the semis here. Look at this move. Come on. Let's go. Look at this move. We're nicely in the money here. Let's keep pushing. Spiders are extended. Dollars pushing. Yields are pushing. We should see more downside. Gold is getting some weakness, breaking some short-term moving averages. Oh, look at this rollover. Look at this rollover. Look at this rollover coming in. SMH rolling over. Spiders are rolling over. QQQs are coming under a little bit of pressure. This is great for our day trade short here. Look at this. Look at this. Alright guys, I'm out of the SOXS here at 21.16. 21.16. Look at that pullback. Boom. Look at that pullback. Wow. So that was a beautiful gain once again. Nice job. It should come back up there, guys. If you missed that, that was very fast. That was very fast. But look at that. Another 31 cents to us. Beautiful. Alright, let's sit back in the pocket now and see where we can find some other trade setups. Big rollover on the S&P. That SOXS should give you another exit, but it could likely go even higher. Let's see if the spiders come down and lose that gap fill. We will see, but so far 2 for 2. 2 for 2 in the winning. See what else. We're seeing China stocks under some pressure this morning, like Baba, Baidu. Baidu's actually looking like a nice potential short level for a swing trade. This is actually one of my favorite China setups. It's on the verge of a technical breakdown. Very, very close to doing so. Let me just remove these drawings, but this is not a healthy price action over here. And what that could be indicating is that maybe we're going to see some strength in the dollar continuing. Let's take a look at Meta, see how Meta is performing. Meta is still trading near the highs. The S&P is still trading under resistance, pulling off of the highs here. But the Russell's into some good resistance. So is the S&P 500. We'll see if they can hold these gap ups. That's the big question for these markets. Can they hold the gap ups? But so far these markets have been lifted by the banks, but they're starting to roll over a little bit. Really good rolling. And look at this bank. Could this be the next canary in the coal mine that we're starting? Because what I'm noticing is that this bank is down 3.84%. And basically the KRE is up 7. XLF up 2.4. That's a bearish divergence, and it's good to see that we're shorting that. Bitcoin's starting to roll over. Take a look at that coin chart now. Take a look at that MARA, M-A-R-A. It's getting slaughtered. BITI we added with our members down at this 22.94 level. Look at that pump. Boom, boom, boom. Let's keep our eye on the Russell here, because the Russell is the lead dance partner right now because it's been the weakest. So we'll see what type of action we get here. But the spiders are under a little bit of pressure. You're seeing the Russell react first to the movement in yields. Yields are actually pushing up. So you're seeing the Russell react before anything else here. XOM is having a nice boost. Look at Nat Gas coming in now. Nat Gas, I hope it flushes. We do have some day tradable levels on Nat Gas, but I really would like to accumulate more of a swing trade position on Nat Gas. So we'll just watch Nat Gas and see what transpires. Russell's catching a small bounce. The S&P is still remaining well off the highs, up 1.42%. Dollar, you're starting to get some intraday buy signals on the dollar. Yields are all positive on the long and the short term. The 2-year yield's up 9.6%. I mean, these yields are trading ridiculously volatile. I mean, they're trading more faster than some of these crypto plays. It's just really fascinating to watch, but truly, truly crazy if you're an investor. Bitcoin's putting in a potential hourly topping tail, so let's monitor that aspect. Based off of Coinbase price action, I do think it's likely we could see a rollover in these specific stocks. I would not be shocked. I certainly would not be shocked. But again, some of the banks are showing weakness now. They're creeping in. Sell-off is coming. I do think that market makers need exit liquidity to get the hell out of some of these financials. And that's kind of what's happening right now. You're seeing, I think, a lot of the big players start to unload into this KRE strength, just like we're seeing the XLF rollover. You know, the KRE is coming down now. So I'm seeing potentially some exit liquidity occurring in this market. Spiders are still trying to push back up here. Spiders are maybe catching a bounce here. We'll see what type of price action we get. Spiders are pushing up. Meta's pushing up as well. You're seeing some weakness in some of the commercial real estate, likes of BX. Lennar is still acting well. Coinbase is starting to roll over some more. Let's take a look at that SOXS trade again. Maybe we have another secondary setup coming. Obviously the SMH is its counterparty. So if the SMH were to basically come up back up to this gap fill or higher, we can get back in the trade. But the spiders are catching a nice bounce here. Coming down. The spiders actually did not officially tag that specific resistance, so it makes me think that there's maybe one more push-up. But so far we're close to already, so that's good for us. We'll just sit in the pocket and wait for other opportunities, but so far Meta is ripping. FRC's up nicely. Let's take a look at this FRC up 51%. Obviously if there's risk right now, if there was risk before, it doesn't mean there isn't risk now. But look at this crazy moves. Wild. Wild, wild, wild moves. Seeing the spiders, let's take a look at the spiders here. Coin is still coming down. Look at this. What a beautiful ad with the members. What a beautiful ad. Semis are pushing up. So I'm going to keep the semis on the radar. I'm going to play this SOXS again. I will play this SOXS again, but we want to see it move a little bit higher. XOM is pushing up sharply here. Bitcoin's putting in an hourly topping tail. So I repeat, Bitcoin is putting in an hourly topping tail. Come on, push up. One more push on the semis and we will get back in the SOXS trade. One more push. Semis are still acting very, very well. GE is starting to come in. That MUFG is falling sharply, down 4.15%. All right, SOXS is off the table. That's off the table. The spiders are, maybe if it pushes up, we'll get back in. I'm still watching the semis on my other screen, but so far it is under pressure. The dollars actually had a bullish close above some short-term moving averages. Bitcoin did put in an hourly topping tail. So we're seeing maybe crypto stocks like Coin, Gap, and Crack Nvidia is falling. UVXY, so the volatility is creeping back in. Seeing a little bit of weakness in transports now. Roblox is up tremendously well here. Spiders are still holding up relatively well here. But just be careful because that Dixie is looking like it wants to move up. Keep SOXS on the radar. I'm waiting for a specific level. So keep that on the radar. SOXS, it's still on the radar now. It's still a valid technical level. Keep it on the radar. Semis are pushing up. Semis are pushing up. Come on, one more little pop on the semis and we will get in the SOXS. Come on. Semis are at 243.41. We want to see it hit another 10 cents higher. Come on, semis, get your butt up there. Get your butt up there, semis, and we will go along the SOXS. It should get up there. Still 10 cents away from the level, now 11 cents. Come on. Nvidia is pushing up, so the semis should get there. All right, I'm going along the SOXS over here, 2084. 2084. $20.84 along the semis again. And then Alright, so we're seeing a bounce off of that level. We're in the money 6 cents. Spiders are still pushing up. Spiders are pushing up. Semis are acting very, very well here. Coin is catching a little bounce. We're seeing it bounce here. Let's see if we can get more. Spiders are under a little bit of pressure. Bitcoin did finish the hourly with an hourly topping tail, so that's good to see. We'll add at the next level around this pierce of this 2062 level, 2062 level, and then 2037. Meta's pulling off now. Spiders are acting well though, so this should help the semis push up a little bit more. Nvidia, though, the heaviest weighted semi, is pulling down. So we'll see what type of price action we get here. Excuse me, let me just get some water. Coin is trying to push up a little bit more. Trying to buy the dip, BTD. Spiders are pushing up, so that's why the markets are still resilient. Let's take a look at the Qs. Qs are seeing a little bit of sell side. Let's take a look at the SMH. SMH is seeing a little bit of sell side after that small little micro gap up. But look at this. SOXS is now pushing. Here we go. Here we go. Semis are into some decent resistance. They are into some decent resistance. There actually might be a tiny bit more of upside in the semis to about 244.20, 244, but we'll see if the markets push up there. Semis are going a tad bit lower. Spiders are at the highs of the session, trying to make a new high. Will it get above this little reversal signal there? It's a big question. Semis just had a pullback. SOXS is still fighting this level here. We are still fighting this level. Semis are acting resilient though. Spiders are still trying to push up. Semis are really just stuck in place. Apple's trying to break. Apple's up nicely. Apple's got a little bit of a technical bullish pattern, which should help the markets, but again, just where we are in terms of resistance, the stress in the system. Bitcoin's catching a small bid. Bitcoin is trying to push back up. Stocks are coming down a little bit more, which means the semis are pushing up. So we will add it to 2063 level, or at least I will. Oil's catching a nice little bit off the lows. Natural gas is still under pressure this morning. Natural gas down 2.7. Spiders are pulling off the highs now. Let's do a Russell check. IWM. Gold is catching a bid. Let's do these GDX check. GDX is up. Silver. Take a look at silver there. Spiders. Spiders are still catching a little bid. Volume is pretty decent today so far for the morning. We'll see if it can continue. All right, we're starting to see some weakness creep into some of the real estate, commercial real estate sectors. Some of the banks are also coming down, just slightly though. Nothing crazy yet. Semis are pulling off the highs. That's going to boost our SOXS trade. Dollar's actually falling here. Dollar's actually falling here. So that should help the markets. Spiders are pulling off the highs. Find that really interesting. Spiders are pulling off the highs even as the dollar softens, so that's a little bit of relative weakness. Coin's at the lows. Coin is at the lows while Bitcoin's trying to catch a bid. Let's go SOXS. I'm going to look for actually now a higher level. Because we held this pivot low here, what I'm going to be looking for is a pierce of these high pivots. So 2118 pierce. I do think that if we hold this candle in the next 15 seconds, we should be making a higher high from this pivot zone. JP Morgan seeing some resistance now. JP Morgan has pulled off the high substantially. It's only up 1.1% now. Walmart's looking bearish, under some pressure. Spiders are seeing some more resistance. We'll see if we get any more sell side pressure. Let's take a look at some of these China stocks. They're trying to catch a bid. SOXS, we're still long the SOXS. Spiders are coming in sharper now. Spiders are coming in. Come on, SOXS. Get your butt up there. Get your butt up there. If these markets lose this gap up, that is extremely bearish. And again, I'm still in the camp. There's so much risk. You know, inflation's still at 6%. We just had a banking collapse. There's still so much risk in this market that it makes me skeptical to go long. Look at this move on the SOXS. BX is coming in sharp now. Here we go. Here we go. Spiders are falling now. We're deep in the money. We are deep in the money. Semis are under pressure still. We just need one more push on the semis or the SOXS. Schwab is coming down. Schwab is up still 6.6. Spiders are still under pressure. And they are maybe forming a potential hourly topping signal. That would not be bullish for this market. Look at this push. Look at this push. Get ready to exit, guys. This one, you know what? Just protect this trade. I'm going to hold it longer. I'm going to hold this longer. I'm going to put a break-even stop considering we have 2 wins in the books already. I'm going to try to be greedy. I'm going to hold this trade longer. I'm going to be greedy and see if we crack. Considering we have 2 already in the books, I don't mind being greedy at this point in time because we have 2 winners and we'll just see if the markets fold under this pressure because I am seeing some weakness start to creep in amongst some specific stocks and sectors, some pretty important leading stocks. So let's see. Let's see. Semis are still under a little bit of pressure. Nvidia is pushing up though. So Nvidia is still one of the outlier strength. XLF is peeling away. XLF is just seeing sell side pressure. Right now, Tesla's up 2.8. Bank of America was up almost 5 and it's lost a lot of its gains. Nvidia is trying to push up. Markets are catching a bid. So spiders are still trying to float up. Spiders are still trying to push up. Amazon's up on the day. Take a look at this. Riot. Riot is pushing up. Semis are pushing up again as seen by our SOXS. And because it's only a starter position, I'll still accumulate more if we continue to push. UAL, LYFT is getting a nice pop today. A lot of the risk on sentiment is slowly creeping back into this market. MNTV. That is. Schwab is still up nicely on the session. Wells Fargo's up. Amazon's up. Coin has almost lost all of its gains here, believe it or not. Another stock under immense pressure is MetLife. MET is the ticker. That one's just been getting crushed and creamed. Semis are really battling the zone. The dollar's starting to roll over slightly. The dollar is rolling over slightly. We shall see. So far the markets are holding up relatively well. They're holding their gains. They are holding the gains. Tesla's still acting very, very well. Nvidia is pushing up. So Nvidia is a powerhouse today. but it has retraced to a key resistance. We'll see if it can push up. SOX is back down again. Incredible volatility in this market. Yields look like they want to push up some more. Bitcoin's trying to make another run up. Notice how the SOX are still holding this level, which means there is big resistance on the semis. Big resistance on the semis near term. Coin is still rolling over. Semis are seeing some near-term pressure. Spiders are trying to push back up, so let's take a look at the spiders. Let's take a look at the Russell. Natural gas has had a bounce. UNG, that still may have more downside. What I don't like about this is nat gas has this double top scenario where it had a rip-roaring rally trying to make a new high. It did pierce it, but it didn't confirm and close, so it does make it slightly vulnerable in the near term to a potential short-term failed breakout. SOXS, that's still holding our level. Nvidia is really the powerhouse in the semis. Let's take a look at its counterparty AMD, seeing some resistance. Intel, AMD is actually, I think, a attractive swing short as well. Let me just take a look at this. Yeah, so AMD's had a nice retrace, and basically if it fails to make a higher high, if it doesn't take out this high as seen by this almost reversal and failure, that's bearish. So SOX are starting to push back up. Spiders are seeing some weakness. The dollar is trying to get its butt up, but still acting very, very weak. Meta's pulled off the highs substantially, so we executed a swing short around this 191 level with our members. Spiders are coming down now. Keep an eye on these semis. Volatility looks like a potential play. The UVXY actually looks interesting again. We just exited that and it's had a big, big dip. We sold at 7 not too long ago. Basically yesterday actually, one day. But it's looking intriguing at these levels. The UVXY is looking intriguing. So market makers are still trying to push it up. Financials are trying to have a short-term bounce. Nvidia is still trying to fight that resistance. Coinbase is still potentially coming down. I think the price action in coin is likely showing that maybe Bitcoin has hit a near-term top. If coin reverses these gains, it's likely showing that Bitcoin maybe has hit that near-term resistance. So we'll certainly watch that. Let's take a look at ARK. ARK's definitely probably benefiting. Oh, that's pulled off the highs substantially. Notice how coin and ARK are very similar in pattern. I always like to check that. Pretty much identical. Spiders still consolidating there. SOXS still waiting on that trade. Bitcoin's coming down now. A little bit more. First Solar's doing really well. Coinbase is still coming down. SOX is now seeing some distribution. Spiders are still seeing a little bit of distribution, but they're just stuck in a sideways pattern. They are stuck in a sideways pattern. Nat gas is still pumping right now. Some of the leading stocks, Tesla. What is this MNTV? MNTV. What is that? That must be a buyout. Momentive Global. Never heard of it. But it must be a buyout. Let's look at the Russell again. IWM. Coin is still coming down sharply. So look at that coin, it's just a bleed. This looks like algos selling into the hype, and this looks like it could go negative. Still up nicely, 4.8, so you have to give it that. But it's certainly looking a little fragile from this point in time. And again, the SOX isn't going to outperform until Nvidia starts to slow down. For solar, still acting well. Some of the banks are getting a boost. Some of the commercial real estate is getting a boost. Nvidia new high of the day. Nvidia new high. Semis have not made a new high yet, but Nvidia is the biggest component, so that should help it. But the relative strength is through Nvidia and not through the whole semis, because SMH still hasn't made a high, but maybe Nvidia is the lead signal that the rest of the semis are going to play catch up. Charles Schwab is still under a little bit of pressure. Nvidia is almost at that 240 level. Almost at 240 on Nvidia. Spiders are still pushing near the highs. Take a look at the spiders. They still technically didn't hit that resistance trend line, so maybe that's where we're going. You'll also have some dual pivot action or up there for some resistance, so maybe we even pierce that level. There is this pivot high here, but I'm using these pivots and this pivot intersection. SMH at the highs. So we also have I'm going to grab some Intel short here. Alright, I'm short Intel at 2764. So we're short Intel at 2764. Starter position. Nvidia is still at the highs, but the semis haven't really broken that yet. Very close to doing so. So we're short a couple semi plays here. The next level on that would be Intel is another semi play. Intel is another semi play. There's a potential that Intel can push up to 2818. There is that potential. And then the 50 daily moving average on Intel is just right up ahead around 2774. 2774, but this is a starter position on Intel. But it's up nicely on the session, 2.67. Let's check back on our SOX. SOX is still holding these levels here. Spiders still pushing up near the highs. My next add level on Intel will be 2780, 2780, and then basically 2794, so 14 cents higher. Intel's pushing up a little bit more now. Semis just made a brief new high. Take a look at the SOXS. Still just hovering. Nvidia is still pushing up. Spiders are still at the highs of the session, but you should approach them near resistance. And we're up pretty massively on the session on a report that really isn't that ideal in my mind. An inflation report that is still showing 6%, a core CPI that went up. Yields are still pushing up. I've now changed my tune. I know I said the Fed was going to hold. I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. I think the Fed raises by at least a quarter basis point, 0.25. I don't think the Fed is going to raise by 50, but I think a quarter basis point is definitely in the cards now, based off of this inflation report. So the 50 daily moving average on this particular Intel chart is at 27.74. You can see it is pushing up slightly. So we're still waiting on SOXS. We'll watch Intel. Spiders are still at the highs of the session. Semis are still pushing up near the highs. Spiders are pulling off the highs now. Coinbase had a bounce, Apple's bounce, Tesla's near the highs of the session. So I'm going to add to the SOXS a little bit lower here. And I'm also keeping Intel on the screen. So 20.63 I will add to my short on the SOXS. So I'm going to be buying the SOXS. It's almost there. Intel's almost at the level as well. So Intel's next level is 2780. 2780. Keep Intel on the radar. Alright, I'm going to grab some Intel here at 2776. 2776. Basically my average now is 2769. Bitcoin's coming down a little bit. Nvidia's still at the highs of the session. SOXS is coming down. SOXS is still at that level. So I'm looking for about 8 to 15 cents on this Intel stock. 8 to 15 cents. SOXS should be hitting our next buy level soon here. If we get another push up. Alright, I just got filled. 2062. 2062. So let's see if these markets push up. $20.73 is our average now. Intel's still trying to push up. Spiders are still at the highs. Yields are trying to push back up. Gold is seeing some weakness, so maybe that's going to be reflected that the dollar is potentially about to bounce. So we're seeing the semis under a little bit of distribution now. Next ad level will be this 2038. Nvidia's pushing that 240 level. Let's check back on Intel, seeing a little bit of minor weakness. Spiders are still at the highs of the session here. Spiders are at the highs. Apple's trying to push up. Nvidia hit that 240 level. Nvidia did hit that 240 level. Spiders are still trying to push up. They're now up on the session over 1.8. The Qs are up over 2%. Big rally today. Massive, massive rally. And again, on a 6% inflation. It's interesting. I find it very intriguing. SOX is still coming down. Intel's still coming down. Basically, the next level on Intel would be SOX are still trying to push up, or the semis are still pushing up. Coinbase is back up, pushing back up. Intel, semis, these markets are just in grind mode. They are in grind mode. Stocks are getting a little bounce now. Semis are seeing some short-term weakness, but markets are still resilient. So the volatility is being sucked out of this market, and basically what I'm seeing here is a potential grind and float higher all day. There's not much sell side pressure, so basically we have to really just be careful, because if the volume starts to lighten up, we could get short. We could be caught in some of these shorts here. So we still have a ton of maneuverability, a ton of maneuverability. Right now, Intel would be the next level around 2790. 2790. Markets are pushing up. And the SOXS is also coming down some more. So get ready to add to Intel. Be a 3-6 position. Markets are pushing up. Intel's now up 3.4%. So definitely a good move on Intel. Semis are about 12 cents away from our next SOXS level. Nvidia is at the highs of the session, pushing 241. Spiders are still pushing. Get ready on Intel. There's Intel, 2790. I just got filled. So now our average is 2776. So we are out of the money on Intel because it is acting very, very well. But we really haven't got a pullback yet. This is a big move on Intel. It's gone straight vertical. The SOXS, we're out of the money slightly. It hasn't come down yet. Spiders are seeing some near-term resistance. Spiders are still pushing up into this resistance though. Maybe it wants to coincide with this pivot over here, but it's a massive rally, a massive, massive rally. SOXS is still pushing down. Get ready to add on SOXS. SMH is at 245 and pushing. I'm going to add around this $20-40, this 2040. Intel's pushing up. But again, it's not how these markets start, it's how they finish. Spiders are still at the highs. Intel's pushing 27.93. Semis are pushing up as well. Nvidia is also pushing up. These whole markets are acting very, very well. It's amazing to see the sentiment shift very quickly in this market. Alright, I'm adding to my Intel or my SOXS 2042. 2042, I just got filled on SOXS. So it's a 3-6 position, and it actually just did pierce that level. 2063. The spiders are at the high still. So we're sitting slightly out of the money on our SOXS, but even this is a good swing trade level just based off of where the semis have rallied in recent sessions. So let's see what action we can get. Spiders are pulling off of the highs. Maybe some near-term weakness creeping in now. Look at this move on the SMH. It's just been a straight parabolic move. So maybe a little bit of a 5-minute intraday bottoming tail. We'll see if we can get a topping tail on any of the semis. Nvidia is still acting very well. Coins starting to come in. Bitcoin starting to come in. Spiders, maybe a 10-minute topping tail on the spiders. We'll see though. It has a minute to close. Semis are now pushing back up. Spiders are back up. Very resilient here. Markets are very quiet though all of a sudden. The volatility is certainly being sucked out. SOX is pushing up. We're almost back in the money now. The SOX is pushing up. Here we go on the SOX. Spiders did not put in a 10-minute topping tail. Neither did the semis. Neither did Nvidia. Let's take a look at AMD. Nope, did not. So, Intel's still off of our last ad level. So we're just waiting on some of these. We should see some consolidation, maybe some profit taking. Still have a lot of PPI data tomorrow. PPI is very, very important to the Fed. We'll see if we get an hourly bottoming tail or even a 20-minute bottoming tail on the SOX. But so far, there's no real selling pressure today. The markets are acting very resilient, pushing up on this next candle on the SPY. Intel's pushing up some more. There is another gap fill in Intel around 28.18 that perhaps it maybe, just maybe it wants to head there. But so far, there's been no real sell side pressure in the spiders. It's just been a straight move to the upside. But they are going to be hitting the neckline of the head and shoulders very, very soon. So I do anticipate some resistance approaching very soon. Considering we haven't had a pullback yet either. The 30-year yield's pushing up. The 2-year yield's trying to push up as well. Can you believe the 2-year yield today is up 9%? Crazy. The dollar's still remaining weak, but it's holding that 50 daily moving average. Intel's at 27.93, Nvidia's at 240, Apple's almost at 153. It did pierce that level. Tesla's pulling off of the highs slightly, but it is putting in maybe some bullish consolidation on the intraday 10. Volume check on the spiders right now. We are trading at, just give me 1 second here, 35 million right now. 35 million. So we should probably hit 70, 80 million at least today. Spiders are still at the highs of the session. The dollar might be trying to perk back up. So Intel's just slowly grinding higher. This, to be honest, this is not what we want to see for this trade. It's just kind of being a slow mover on us. You are into some decent resistance here. There is some resistance. And it hasn't really had any pullback as of yet. Spiders are still grinding. No real issues yet on the pattern. Stocks are trying to perk back up now. Intel's still remaining relatively strong. If Intel hits the 27.98 level, I will add to my Intel short. Spiders are seeing some near-term weakness. Alright, Intel, I'm shorting Intel here. Let you know if I got filled. I got filled at 27.98. 27.98. So that brings the average up to 27.81. SOX is pushing up now. Spiders are still acting very resilient here. Very resilient. Intel's back to that 27.96. still acting very well. Intel, semis, Nvidia, no real issues yet. Bitcoin's still trading under that 26,000 level. Coin is still off of the highs. A lot of the banks and some of the stocks are acting well today. SMH is still acting very, very well. No real sell side pressure. If you take a look at the spiders, they're still acting very resilient here. Just grinding along this trend line. Just grinding along. Take a look at the IWM. That still hasn't made a high despite the spiders, but it is up 3%. I mean, that's a phenomenal move. The QQQ trading up 2.16%. Intel's pulling off that last add level where we added at 27.98. Let's take a look at the SOXS. Spiders are at the highs of the session. Dollar's trying to perk up. Trying here ever so slightly. It's a really weird pattern on the dollar. You have a micro bear flag on the 10-minute, but you do have a little bit of an attempt at a bullish inside bar on the 20 and 30 minutes. So I'm going to give it more weight on the 20-minute time frame, just based off of yields also trying to potentially push higher. Nvidia maybe a 20-minute topping tail. It's still too early to say. We have about a minute and a half left. It's now approaching that 10:48 time frame. Spiders are at the highs. Spiders are pushing up at the highs. Apple's at the highs. Nvidia is still pushing. 393. It looks like the spiders want to hit 393. Do look at the hourly chart too. So you are coming up on a wide range red bar. 393.11 is pretty decent resistance. 393.11 is decent resistance on the SPY. It's a wide range red bar sell-off. Stocks are coming back down. Intel's back pushing up, but it still hasn't hit our last add level. And we're waiting. Just waiting ever so patiently. But definitely the volatility has been sucked out. Stocks are pushing lower. Intel's pushing up, targeting that $28 level. A little bit of sell side pressure in Nvidia coming in. Intel's still acting very well. Look at this, no real pullback yet in Intel. And you are into that resistance and you're trying to close above it. It's a big, big level. Really interesting to see if we get through. But with the spiders having such a powerful move to the upside, pushing that 2% mark, will there be any profit taking at all? This is a monster gap that has now been created. The Dixie's coming down, which is why the spiders are still floating higher. Nvidia is still under a little bit of near-term pressure. Next add level on Intel will be 28.10 and then 28.18. Actually, we'll do 28.09 and then 28.18. So now maybe the spiders officially are tagging this upsloping trend line. I guess I can adjust it now to see if it hits that pivot. So exactly hitting that pivot intersection, you're in and amongst this huge resistance level. Intel's coming in sharper now. Take a look at that dump on Intel. That's good to see. That's also going to help our SOXS trade. So we'll see if we can get any sort of profit back out of this trade. You'll have some resistance. But this light volume float is not helping our shorts. I repeat, it's not helping our shorts at this point in time. But Intel's coming in. It might have a potential little reversal candle here starting. We'll see if the spiders, we need the spiders to also pull back. Natural gas is pulling back slightly. JPM still off of the highs. Hasn't really made a new highs with the market. So what that's telling me is there are banks still unloading positions into the strength of this S&P 500 market. Spiders are still acting resilient. Apple's pulled off the highs though. Coinbase is still trying to move up. Intel's coming in slightly. So again, the spiders are still so resilient. No sell side pressure. And this is all coming on the back of a hot CPI. The core CPI was hot. The 2-year yield is at 4.39. It is looking like it wants to break out higher. I have a potential move today all the way back up to 4.59 on the 2-year yield. And I do think that's when you'll see markets react if we get that push back up. Let's take a look at the SMH. SMH is still holding up relatively well. Relatively well. You did pierce a little bit of a technical gap over here. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA is still really strong, up 4.6%. Basically 20 cents low, I will add. Spiders are at the highs though. Spiders are at the highs and Intel's still coming down a little bit. So notice how that resistance trend line is working at the moment. But can we get a bigger pullback? Coin is pushing up. First Solar is a little weak. Spiders are pushing at 393. Almost having an exact retrace back to the neckline of the major breakdown pattern. Intel's still coming down. Nvidia is remaining strong. Meta's pulled off the highs, trading back under 190. Palo Alto's actually weak today despite the markets being up. So that was a big leading stock during this rally. And it had that sublime earnings report that ripped a lot of people's faces off. But that's actually trying to push up. Intel's coming in a little bit sharper now, trading at 27.92. The stocks, we're still waiting on the SOXS. Nvidia's trying to push up. Spiders are still acting well. The DXY is catching a small bid here. Yields are also trying to push up. Nice bullish pattern on the hourly chart for the 2-year yield. It is looking ready to push up. Right now the Dow has bounced. We've seen some money flow back into like some McDonald's. Apple's pulling off the highs, so maybe we see some weakness creep in. Dollar's starting to perk back up. Dollar is starting to perk back up. Nvidia is still acting resilient though. Exceptionally resilient. We did get a 20-minute topping tail on Nvidia, so there is some resistance here, and it did happen on some decent volume. So we should have a cycle top in the semis, at least for today. Semis are starting to come back in now. Stocks are trying to push up. Intel's trading at 27.92. Spiders are pulling off the highs now. See if these stocks and Intel can pull off the highs some more. Stocks are catching a small underlying bid. Spiders are pulling off the highs here. Dixie's having a nice little pop here. So the Dixie is getting a pop. That should help things. And it'll be interesting to see if we get an hourly topping tail on the spiders off of that level. So notice how the spiders are hitting that resistance. SMH is pulling off now. SOX is starting to perk back up. Just like that, we're basically almost in the money. Apple's pulling off the highs. Apple's actually showing a hourly topping tail forming. There's still 32 minutes left, but it is trading ahead of the S&P 500, which makes me think perhaps we've seen the high in the market today. And if the dollar gets going, it could push this market down. I mean, we've had a 2% rally on a core CPI that came in hot. Like, again, when you try to rationally think about some of these markets, it really doesn't make sense. Nvidia pushing right back up like a rubber band that doesn't want to break. But there's some heavy volume coming in on Apple. There is some distribution happening on Apple. Spiders are also coming down here. SOX, we're basically in the money on our SOX trade, or flat actually. But Intel's had a massive move up today. So is the semis, so is Nvidia. I think Intel pulls back minimum to the 27.76 level. Right, we're now in the money on the SOX. The spiders are coming in a little bit harder now. A little bit harder. So I'm looking for about 20 cents or more on the SOXS. 20 cents or more. Spiders are coming in a little bit sharper. Nvidia is coming in sharply, so is Apple. Here we go. Nice potential trade coming in here on SOXS. Intel's also coming in. I'm watching that on my other screen. Nvidia's coming in sharply. Apple's coming in sharply. Just like that, the spiders may have a potential hourly topping tail. It's still really early to say. 30-minute candle is forming a potential topping tail. SOX are pushing up. Look at this. Nvidia's rolling over hard, and it's on heavy volume. Heavy volume coming in. 30-minute topping tail on the spiders. Let's go. Come on. Spiders did put in a 30-minute topping tail. Now we need to see some follow through. You are getting a small bounce. But you have a 30-minute top on the spiders. Dollar's still trying to hold steady. Intel's coming in. It's off of our last two ad levels. Nvidia's bouncing back up, which is helping the semis. Spiders, let's see if we can get some follow through downside on this candle. You are at the short-term moving average, but you're still extended. Apple's coming in a little bit more as well. Alright, here we go on the SOXS. Spiders are breaking a short-term moving average here. If we break this short-term moving average, spiders could have a move down to 390. That's where the next support is, 390. And the semis are trying to hold a potential hourly topping tail. We did get a 30-minute, so that's a start. Oh, it's a big resistance point. But really the volume is lightening up, so I'm hoping for one more follow through to the downside for us to exit this trade. Come on. Spiders are catching a bid. Nvidia is right back up. Right back up. The dollar's getting some intraday buy signals, so that should help. Stocks are pushing back up here. Intel's pushing down. You're getting sell signals on Intel. You're getting some potential, almost some sell signals on Nvidia. Not yet though. Come on. One more little dump down. SMH is coming down, so that's helping our SOXS. We just need Nvidia to give up some of its strength. We need Nvidia. And it's so funny how they pierce Nvidia's level. There's a massive resistance level trading at around 239.25 that they pierced, and it's basically showing that if Nvidia closes in there, it could actually move up higher. And it's just really fascinating to see how market makers love to pierce these technical levels, because they hop the bulls on the one side, they get the bears to cover, and then they reverse it down. It's always about max pain, shaking people out of their original position. Spiders are pushing up, so that's not going to be helpful for our semi trade or our Intel, but we'll see if we get any more downside. Intel's still under a little bit of pressure. Nvidia's holding up well. Spiders are floating back to the highs. Nvidia's coming back down a little bit more now. Intel, we're slightly out of the money. It's trading at 27.89. We're about 8 cents out of the money. The SOXS, we are in the money. The spiders are pushing back up. The dollar's looking to have another move to the upside here. Nvidia is seeing some softening. Semiconductors are still trying. Acting very, very well here. The SMH. We should get a little bit more downside in this market, but they just seem to be pushing it right back up. Stocks were basically flat. Intel's pushing back up. Nvidia's still under a little bit of minor pressure here, but the spiders are acting well. So far there's no hourly topping tail, but there is a 30-minute. You do have an intraday resistance. The high on that candle was around just shy of 393. Just shy of 393. All right, Nvidia is now coming back down. We do have a potential hourly topping tail forming on Nvidia. Intel's coming down as well. See if the spiders break this key moving average. You have a little bit of minor support at 391.18. A bigger support level would be around 390.33 on the spiders. Nvidia is still peeling away, losing some of the gains. But spiders are hugging that 7-day moving average, intraday moving average. Maybe we have a little bit of a bullish pattern forming here. I do like that this was a near-term reversal. You got a 5-minute bottoming tail. You reversed, you closed above that initial sell-off. So that's a short-term positive for the SOXS, which is indicating that there's likely a little bit of profit taking that should occur especially if the dollar starts to push up. I mean, we're trading at 103.79. I'm looking for a dollar close above 103.83, and that's when we probably get our next sell side trigger on this market. A close above 103.83 likely forces market, but the spiders are battling. Spiders are acting resilient here. Natural gas is still trying to hold its a little bit of a bounce that it had, but it's still under a lot of pressure. Intel's floating back up. So we're approaching that 11 a.m. time frame. We have been on this stream a little bit longer. Basically, my expectations for the SOXS is around this 2085 level. And then for Intel, I'm looking for about 8 to 10 cents. I'm looking for a cover on Intel around 2760. Whoops, let me just adjust that. I'm looking for a cover on Intel around 2770. So we'll just have to see 2772 maybe. But I do think that we should see some more downside. But it's really going to take the spiders to weaken a little bit. I mean, and right now the spiders are up almost 2% on the session. The Nasdaq's up terrifically. So will we see some profit taking late in the day? Obviously, time will tell. But basically, we have a 3-6 position on SOX. We have a 4-6 position on Intel. I'll add to Intel if it hits above 2809 and then 2818. But I am looking for about 8 to 10 cents on the Intel trade from our current level, and then for the SOXS I am looking for about 23 cents or above. So I've given you the parameters of the trade. I'll stay with you maybe for about 5 more minutes just to see if we get some action and maybe some downside target, but then we will call this stream to an end. And I'm okay with holding Intel. I will be out of the SOX trade, likely win, lose, or draw. I will be out of the SOX trade. But Intel, I am comfortable holding Intel overnight. That one's a little bit of a slower mover, and I do think that it should have some decent resistance up ahead. Considering Intel's had a beautiful, beautiful move to the upside in the recent sessions, I do think that it's a little bit extended in nature, and it's probably only going to come down with some market weakness. The dollar's peeling away slightly here. The dollar, we're watching to see if it has an inside bar bullish. All right, SOX are coming back up now. Nvidia is trading a little bit lower. Spiders are still resilient. Again, everything is pretty much a spider trade at the moment. Let's take a look at these long end yields. 30 years trading at 3.74, the 10 years trading at 3.63, the 2 years trading at 4.32. I still think it gets up to the 4.6 level, whether it happens today, tomorrow. I do think that it should get up there momentarily. Natural gas is coming down. Nvidia's had a little bit of a pop. Spiders still haven't taken out the highs of that reversal, but they are getting a meaningful retrace of that level on the 30-minute chart. Palo Alto showing a lot of weakness. Let's take a look at the spiders here. Spiders are still fighting this reversal. Take a look at the IWM. IWM failed to make a high. Did the Qs make a new high with the spiders? They did not yet. The SMH. Take a look at Pan W, Palo Alto. That's actually looking interesting because the market is up substantially and this market leader is ever so weak. So I like looking at these leading stocks for indications that maybe it's not today, but soon we should see weakness creep into this market. Take a look at AMD. AMD's been a powerhouse of recent sessions, up 6.7%. Wow. AMD is a beast. AMD is a beast at this point in time. Intel's coming down a little bit more now. Can we get some more downside? That's the big question. We really need the spiders. You know, without the spiders coming down, the semis are going to remain strong. The whole market's going to remain strong. So now, is this going to be an inside bar bear flag off of this level? There's certainly a potential that it could be in the semis. The reason being is that you were holding this bullish consolidation in this initial move up, and then you had a reversal, closed below that pivot. Now the big levels, you need to close back above that red bar high. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So SVB failure executive trading investigated by the DOJ, Department of Justice, and the SEC. Scholz tells Germans not to worry about savings after SVB crash. Bank executive lost $267 million in SVB spurred stock swoon. Fed rate pauses, tough call. Traders would like to see rate hikes near the end. Oof. The fact that they're showing rate hikes near the end makes me skeptical that we're actually not near the end of rate hikes. Nvidia is acting very resilient. The spiders are acting resilient. Let's take a look at the Qs again. A little bit of tail candles forming, but the volume is really lightening up on the Qs. So it does mean potentially we could push up a little bit more. Just see out of curiosity. So we do have a trend line of resistance right there. Nvidia is pushing right back up to the highs. Spiders are also challenging the highs here. Intel still remaining a little weak. Bitcoin still under 26,000. The dollar's still remaining weak. Yields are consolidating. Gold is at 1907. XOM has had a huge push up to 108.47. XOSS were slightly out of the money. The semis are trying to push back up as well. So the SMH is definitely strong, up over 3%. You had a micro pullback. You hit the support. And we'll see if we can get some more downside. Spiders are acting resilient though. So one thing I've noticed is the spiders are pushing up, but really Intel hasn't pushed up past this pivot. So if we get any weakness in the spiders, Intel should drop, which will help our SOX trade. But spiders are acting very, very well here. And this is the worst type of trade to be stuck in, where the volatility has just been sucked out and it's just a slow grind. I hate these trades. Sometimes it happens. I mean, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day, but these are the trades I absolutely despise at this point in time, because it's now 11:13 and the volatility, like we said, has been sucked out of this market from this point of time. But you are seeing maybe a little bit of weakness creep in. Semis are still trying to push higher though. That red bar high is going to be a big level. Spiders are still strong. Can the dollar push up and help us? That's what I'm waiting for. We'll see if that happens. As of now, semis are resilient today. Very resilient. Apple's exceptionally strong. Retracing the little 30-minute topping tail. It is poking above that. Dollar's seeing a little bit of near-term pressure on the dollar. Yields have softened just slightly, ever so slightly. Intel's trying to push back up now. Semis are trying to hold its gains. Spiders are trying to push to make a new high. They haven't done so yet, but they're looking like they're likely to do so. And this is just a grinder now. A float and grind. Semis still haven't taken out this red bar high, despite the spiders making a brief new high. Spiders just made a brief new high. We'll see if it can close with a new high. It's trading at 393. It did hit the 393 level. Semis still haven't taken out the highs, despite the spiders making new highs. Nvidia is trying to push though. Nvidia is trying to push. Apple's softening slightly, but it's also trading near the highs of the session. So this red bar high, we now have the semis trying to peak above it. That's a short-term positive for the semis. Obviously it's a negative for our short. Spiders are acting resilient though. Nvidia is trading near the highs. Our SOX is back down to the lows, unfortunately. We were a little bit greedy today, and are the market makers going to make us pay? Maybe it's looking like that, but again, you never know what happens. Markets are extended. They are extended. And you are retracing pretty much to the neckline of the breakdown zone as we speak. Maybe a few more pennies of upside, but the spiders are at some really decent resistance here. Nvidia made a brief new high. Nvidia just did make a brief new high. Markets are rallying nicely. Nvidia just pulled off of the highs. Spiders are still holding up really well. SMH is pushing. So the big level now is, can we get a close above this previous pivot around 245.30? But it's just a slow grind higher as of now. Market makers are just grinding this market higher and higher and higher. Spiders at the highs. Semis still haven't closed above the highs, but they're looking very close to doing so. That's for sure. Spiders still at the highs. Semis are pushing. No sell side pressure. The volume is getting ever so thin, even on the buy side. Nvidia is pulling off the highs now. Nvidia volume is actually picking up tremendously on the 10-minute intraday candle. Spiders are pulling off the highs. Let's see the SMH. Did they manage to take out the high? They have not taken out the high yet, but they could pierce it. A close is what I'm looking for. A close above the high is what I'm looking for. Palo Alto still remains weak. Schwab is up 9.8%. Tesla's up 3.5%. Nvidia's up 4.86%. So spiders closed on a 10-minute basis. Now I'm looking for a negation of that 30-minute topping tail. In the next 10-minute candle, if we get a close above the topping tail candle around 392.98, that would be bullish for the market. If we don't, it means we could go back all the way down to around 391.74. So in 10 minutes, we should have a clear picture of if this market's going to grind higher, or if it's just going to stall out here. We're still holding this level on the SOXS, ever so slightly though. Yields have softened slightly. about 4.31%. Gold has caught a boost. Nvidia is still seeing a little bit of minor distribution, but nothing too crazy yet. But some of those regional banks have had a massive move to the upside. Massive move. Intel, we're waiting on Intel. We're waiting on the SPY. So I'm noticing the SMH did not close above that previous pivot high, but it did close above this red bar. So you have one positive that it closed, but you really need to get a close above this red bar to see more continuation and upside. And you can see we're still at this technical gap, which is decent resistance. Doesn't mean it can't get through, because you are consolidating and working your way higher, and the spiders just keep pushing. Really wild. Basically on the daily chart of the spiders now, let me just show you something. What I'm watching is a retrace back to this neckline. So perhaps that's where the spiders want to go, is retracing back to that neckline. That might be where they're looking to go. We'll see if they can get there. I'll keep the daily chart up just so we can see. Nvidia is trying to push for a new high. SOXS is still holding our last little add level. Spiders are pushing up though. Big move. Basically had a gap up and 2 straight hours of continuous buying. No real sell side pressure. Nvidia's at the highs. Nvidia is actually trying to grind up even more now. Powerhouse stock. Bitcoin's still under 26. SMH is trading near the highs. Alright, I'm going to call the stream to an end because it's really getting slow out here. Basically, the big resistance on the daily chart of the spiders, will it recapture this neckline of this topping formation? That's kind of what I'm watching, but I'm going to call the stream to an end because it is getting slow. I still would add to my SOSX trade if we were to see a little bit more downside to this 2020, and then I would add basically every 20 cents lower I would accumulate more SOXS. So 2020, 20, but I'm looking to be out of this trade at the end of the day until I am prepared to hold it overnight. On that note, we did bank a couple winners, 2 for 2. Unfortunately, we're stuck in these last 2 trades, but again, 2 winners in our pocket. I'm okay holding some trades at this moment in time, considering we haven't seen any real sell side pressure and the markets are extended and approaching a big daily resistance level. So on that note, I'm going to bid you farewell, and we'll see you on the charts tomorrow. Take care, everybody.